Hey everyone, welcome to the Thomas Blooms channel. I am your host, Thomas Blooms, and today is Saturday, April the 10th. I think it's the 10th. Anyway, it is a gorgeous day out, especially if you're in the Greater Toronto area. If you're seeing this today, or even after the fact, you know that today was a really nice, it still is a very nice day out. It's supposed to be, I think, a high of 22 degrees. It's about 3 o'clock right now, and the greenhouse, I actually have both windows open, and I'll show you in just a second. Right there. And then we have this one right here. Okay. We do that because, well, we need to air condition the greenhouse right now. Get some air circulating in here. It's good for the plants. And I'm going to show you how hot it is in here, even with both windows open and outside air circulating. So hopefully you can see this. Hopefully you can see the red. If you can't, it's right on 30 degrees Fahrenheit or 30 degrees Celsius or 88 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's pretty warm, considering it's early April. It's quite a good idea. It might make you think, hey, let's bring in all the plants out. You know, the plants that you've been growing in your home, apartment, whatever. You might be like, okay, this is warm weather. Let's take them out. Let's give the plants some fresh air. And that's not a bad thing. No. But what I'm going to tell you guys about is hardening your seedlings, and why today is a good day, but also a bad day to be doing it. Bad in if you don't do it correctly, good, obviously, if you do it correctly. So here I have, I'm going to show you right now. See all these? These are my tomato plants. Okay. There is, let me see, 2, 4, 6, 8. There's about 9 tomato plants. And so there are 3 kinds of tomato plants that I'm growing. I'm growing cherry tomatoes, San Marzano, and beefsteak. Okay, so they all serve 3 different functions. Cherry tomatoes are for salads and quick appetizers. The San Marzanos will be grown and they'll be turned into a pasta that we'll make here. And the beefsteaks, those are for like the bigger meals, like the steak meals, the hamburger topping meals, and anything you would use a big tomato for. And over here, I have this guy. Wait, yep, I have this guy, and I have these 3 guys. Those are my Crimson Sweet watermelons. Okay, so Crimson Sweet, they're not the same as the big, huge watermelons. They're the smaller cousin of the big ones. The Crimson Sweets are pretty good. They're good. I'd say they're the size of a bowling ball, like a child's bowling ball. Okay, and about just a little bit lighter than that. But that's generally the size of the Crimson Sweet watermelons. They're a little bit darker in the rind, but they're called Crimson Sweet for a reason. They're a very sweet watermelon, and the reason why I grow that is because in this area I grow them up in trellises, so I can't have them too heavy on the line. But also, what the Crimson Sweet does is they're small enough that you could take with you all the time. You know, just going out for the day, or you want to eat watermelon for one day, get a Crimson Sweet. If you do the big ones, you know, you're carving 800 triangles of watermelon, and at the end of the day, you still have, you know, a couple 100,000 left, and you're like, well, what do I do with all this watermelon? But with a Crimson Sweet, you can cut it in one day, eat it in one day, and still be filling for you and your family. If you have a family like 5, 6, or 7, maybe you go with a slightly bigger one, but for your average size family, a Crimson Sweet watermelon for a day is nice. Okay. Yeah, so the reason why I'm showing you those is because I'm hardening my seedlings in the greenhouse. Now, hardening basically is getting your seedlings ready to be outdoors. And typically your seedlings inside, they were on a windowsill, you know, getting that south-facing light from the sun, or you had them in a grow tent. The grow tent was supplying the necessary nutrients for your seedlings, but the sun is a little different. And this is where I was saying earlier about the good and bad parts of a day like this. You want to take your plants out, you want to take them out in the sun. Hey, get some sun, it's beautiful. It's energy. However, your seedlings are not used to the effects of the sun. All energy is basically radiation, and so the sun pumps out enormous amounts of radiation, and your seedlings aren't used to it. And if you leave them out too long, you can burn them and you can damage them. What I like to recommend for the first time you're taking them out is about 10 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes outside, get them used to it, especially if there's a little bit of gust of wind. That's even better, because it'll harden their stems in a good way, and it'll get them used to the conditions. So you want to acclimatize your seedlings to the outdoor weather. Also, what you want to do is you want to bring them out in cloudy weather, so they don't take the full effects of the sun right away, because it's intense for the seedlings to take all that solar radiation and UV radiation and other radiation that the sun comes out. So you want to do that, and you gradually want to increase the time as you go. Like, do like a couple days, 15 minutes. Then after that, maybe do 17 to 20 minutes, and then keep going, and eventually you get to an hour. And you don't have to do necessarily 5-minute times. You can do 10 minutes or longer, that kind of thing. You really want to look at your plants and see how they're doing at the end of it. Okay, but I encourage you to do it gradually. I put them a little bit longer in the greenhouse, because the material of the greenhouse filters out some of that radiation that comes in, so I'm able to put this in for longer. And today is a day where I could put them out for over an hour, because I've been doing this for the past week and a half. I've been taking the plants out, giving them a little bit of taste of the outside conditions, so that when I'm ready to plant in the ground, they're ready to go. And what you do when you plant them in the ground is it helps reduce transplant shock. Transplant shock is the shock of going from one home to another. The home being this black sort of pot container, whatever container it is, that's the plant's home. And then all of a sudden, to go into like all of this, it's a new home. It's a new thing. They're going to be exposed to lots of different things, including insects. So you want to make sure that it's tough enough and strong enough that it can withstand that transplant shock. And when I start planting these things in the ground, I'll do another video about transplant shock and how like investing in things like bone meal would be very beneficial for your transplanting. Okay, it helps reduce transplant shock. I have to be very careful with my words. I don't want to say it's a cure-all for transplant shock or not, because it's not, but it definitely does help. So anyway, so going back to hardening. So hardening is basically the process of getting it ready for the outdoor weather. And there's no one specific way to do hardening. It also depends on your plants. For example, tropical plants, for example, peppers, you need to ease them in a little bit more than, say, onions, or say squash, zucchini, tomatoes. They're a little bit more hardy at lower temperatures outside than peppers. Even though peppers are tropical and they love the sun, you can't just go from no sun to full sun and leave them out there and expect them to be happy right away. It's a shock. If you're a parent, you know the issues of taking your child who's either was sleeping in your bed and putting them in a crib, or taking them from a crib to like a single or double bed. There's potential transition issues. Your baby may not take to it right away. Same with plants, and it depends on the type of plant. It also depends on the individual. Plants, much like people, as much as you can group them all together and give them generalizations, which not always the best thing to generalizations, but they have similar characteristics. I'll clarify that. As much as say, all tomatoes share similar characteristics, or all peppers share similar characteristics, they're also individual enough. So you could have two pepper plants exactly the same, but both act differently to stimuli. It's just the nature of things. So while you're hardening, please take a look at how they're doing. But the better that you can harden off your plants, the more successful they'll be when you plant them in the ground and start growing. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Oh, I just wanted to show you my arugula. I planted another square arugula last week, and I planted it right beside the arugula that I planted 3 weeks ago. So I just wanted to show you real quick how that looks, because you can see both of them now, and you can also see how one is obviously more developed than the other. And this is where, in the last video, I talked about succession planting, where the first batch I'll be able to harvest, and then after that I'll have another batch ready to go. And then I'll probably next week I'll probably plant in the other square, and then that will be ready too. And once I harvest from the first batch, I'll be able to replant in the same area and just keep that cycle of arugula going. And I plan to do the same thing with lettuce too. So let me just show you real quick here. So as you can see right here, this is the arugula at about 4 weeks now, okay? And over here, you see the arugula at 1 week, okay? So that's the arugula at 1 week. And right here, this is lettuce, romaine lettuce that I planted. As you can see, I have my plastic cups on there to help with any potential frost. We've been fortunate in the last week not to have any frost. In fact, the weather has been pretty good. But after 1 week, I just want to show. I don't know if I can show all of it. They're so tiny. But where is it? Oh, yes, look, this little guy right here. We got a little guy right there, and right there. Yep. I don't know if you could see that in the camera, and I apologize if that doesn't show up pretty well. But, I mean, they are growing. They are getting there. And, oh, I'm sorry about the close-up there. I was just fixing the stuff, so you got to see up my nose. That's fantastic. So, anyway, so that's why we harden. And that's why, you know, it's a step-by-step process. And if you do it the correct way, your plants will be ready to go when you put them in your garden beds, whether they're raised beds or into the ground itself, okay? So I hope you liked this short video. Please like and subscribe if you found this informative and you want to keep yourself updated on what else is going on around here. And that's pretty much it. So this is Thomas Bloom signing off, and I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. All right, take care. Bye.